Hello, everybody. Hello. I thought it might be quite interesting to do a little walkthrough of Omnisphere 2, and I'm hoping that you'll find that interesting too. I've actually already done a walkthrough video for Omnisphere 2 about an hour and a half ago. But when I finished, I discovered that all the audio had stopped recording 8 minutes in. And I didn't discover that until about 40 minutes later. So I was just sat chatting away, playing patches, and nothing was recorded. Great. Anyway, things seem to be working now. So, yes, hello, this is Omnisphere 2. Now, some of you will have downloaded it already and be enjoying it and playing with it. And unfortunately, I think a lot of you won't be, because Spectrasonics' servers were absolutely rammed yesterday on the day of launch. I think they were taken by surprise, despite the fact that this is probably the most anticipated soft synth launch of all time. They were still caught out, unfortunately. Anyway, what I'm going to do is provide you with a little bit of entertainment whilst you're waiting for your downloads to either start or complete. I was very kindly asked by Eric Persing, the man behind Spectrasonics, to be part of the beta team for Omnisphere 2, and also he asked me to create some factory patches for it. So what I thought I'd do, which was an absolute honour by the way, what I thought I'd do is do a little bit of a walkthrough of Omnisphere 2 by going through some of the factory patches that I've created for it, and show you some of the new things on here at the same time, because most of the patches that I've used do use the new features. That was something I wanted to do, hone in on specifically. Apologies if at some point I sound confused, because I think I've already said something before, because I probably did in the previous abandoned video. And also apologies if you can hear any loud banging or drilling in the background, because for some reason our neighbour has chosen today to do some work unannounced that mostly seems to involve instruments that make vast amounts of noise. Bless them. Okay, so here we are. Here is Omnisphere 2. Everybody already loves the original Omnisphere, and they've gone and improved it in innumerate ways. But the best way of showing that, as I say, is going to be through going through some of my patches. Well, not the best way. It's the way I'm going to do it. I'm not that vain. Okay, so we'll start off with this rather gentle old-school synth ARP, I think. That's a bit fast. Let's drop down the BPM a little bit. That's a bit better. So this has got a nice sort of old-school analog vibe with a hint of that sort of Tron Legacy thing. And so what we have here is a couple of new synth waveforms. And this is an incredible new section of Omnisphere 2. So what we previously had is... What is going on? What is going on here? What is this beyond where I've recorded? This is confusing. Anyway, hopefully it's still working. So we used to just have these 5 waveforms, and now look at them all. Look, there's loads. There's absolutely loads of them. So we've got classic waveforms, analog timbres, and digital wavetables. Great. The classic waveforms are, as you would imagine, sorted into pulse, sawtooth, square, sub-oscillators, which is cool, and triangle and synth. I'm just going to play some more notes, because I'm really... Why is that not showing on the MIDI? Oh, it is now. What is this? This is going to play in a second, isn't it? And I'm not going to have any idea why it's there. Great. Glitches. Excellent. This is all good fun. There it goes. I'm not touching anything. Weird. Okay, so yeah, we've got some classic synths like the ARP 2600, JP 8000, Juno 60, Mini Moog, Modular, MS-20, Oberheim's, Prophets, Sub-Fatties and Viruses, and they're all there in nice big sawtooth section, because we all love a sawtooth. The screen is now not moving with it. This is just trying to wind me up. I want to see what's going on. Show me what's going on. This is what I missed last time it was recording. Okay, so yes, so huge number of classic waveforms, and the analog timbres, which are in a more sort of stylistic vibe, but also very, very, very cool. And then digital wavetables, which is great because it just adds so much more on top of the classic waveforms. So some really cool stuff that you can process. Yeah, so this is a nice sort of, let's play it a bit higher up, shall we, for larks. So I've got these two sort of synth patches coming in at different, the LFO is controlling the cutoff, so they're coming in and out at different times. Lots of fun. Any new effects on this one? No. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Right. So let's move on. Ali Pulse, a deep lo-fi pulsing percussion sequence. Well, I've always been a fan of that kind of thing. That's nice and deep. And here what we have is some more sample new sound sources. So this is really quite cool. This is taken from the PSS 170, which is actually an old Yamaha home keyboard that I actually had. I did actually have one. So there's a few sounds in there that are very familiar to me. I think I'd have had that about more than 20 years ago. Crikey. And then there's some really cool stuff, some new drum sound sources in there as well, which is great. So these are mega cymbal snares, but obviously I've affected them so you can't really hear anything particularly snarey or cymbally from them. But yes, it's quite entertaining stuff. Here we go. So we've got some new effects here. So we've got this whole new collection of distortion effects. This is the Stomp Box Modeler. And then there's the Flame Distortion, which we had before, the Metal Zone Distortion, which is kind of metal, Toxic Smasher, which has kind of 8-bit reduction kind of vibe to it, and then Foxy Fuzz, which I guess is just kind of a fuzz box kind of modeler. I'm not really into guitars, so I don't really understand that stuff so much, as but I do like to just have a bit of a play. Oh, and there's a precision compressor, which is quite a nice addition. To me, and I could be corrected by someone if I'm completely wrong on this, but to me it does definitely have a vibe of working like a mastering compressor. That's how I see it. Okay, pianos. Well, I always like a bit of a piano. And this one classically is going to use the old Dream piano sound source. I was kind of hoping a little bit that there might be a couple of new piano sound sources in there, maybe, but there aren't. But you can still do a lot with the Dream piano because it's such a lovely sound. And here it's combined again with the PSS 170 Yamaha home keyboard, but this has an electronic piano vibe. So this is, well, that was an enormous thud from downstairs. Thank you very much. So that's the Dream piano sound, and then this is the toy electronic piano sound, which has got a really nice kind of FM synthesis vibe, which you'd expect from a Yamaha home keyboard from the 80s/90s. So that's really quite lovely. Yeah, and here's the studio EQ, which also kind of has this sort of mastering EQ kind of vibe to me, I think, just for sort of taking a bit off the top or a bit off the bottom, which is quite useful. But lovely sound. Okay, let's move on a little. Nice pads. So this is a good one to highlight the fact that there is an absolute ton of new Diego Stocco sound sources in Omnisphere 2, which is marvellous. I'm sure most of you watching this will know of Diego Stocco's work. He creates his own instruments, or he does strange things to existing instruments like he has here. And this is the Xperia bass, which there's loads of sound sources made with the Xperia bass, and they are all fabulous. So they give this kind of organic vibe to the synthiness of the pad. And then we've got this Stream Sonic Warm Stream, which is this crazy collection of little sounds which are made from recording water passing through pipes, which is another lovely collection of sounds in Omnisphere 2. Okay, bending lights. This is another one that shows off some interesting stuff. I'll just play this for a moment. So here we've got PHR, which is phrases. So there's a load of new sound sources in Omnisphere 2 which are phrases. This is Macedonian song. And this is, I think a lot of them seem to be taken from Heart of Asia, Heart of Africa, and also the big vocal sample library that Spectrasonics did a few years ago, which I cannot recall. And this is very exciting for me because I didn't have any of those sample libraries. They're actually from before my time. I've only been doing this for 6 or 7 years, I think, and all that stuff is what is it, maybe 10 or 15 years old now, but it still sounds great because it's just recorded beautifully and it works fabulously with the granular synthesis here. So the Granular Engine, it'll probably look quite similar to Omnisphere 1. You won't immediately notice anything hugely different, but the engine behind it has been completely rebuilt, and it just makes such a difference. You get much more spectacular granular sounds now. So you can hear a lot more movement going on, whereas there wasn't quite so much in Omnisphere 1, I thought. So the phrases and the granular synthesis and using the LFOs to control. I haven't done it on this one, but the position or the speed of the granularity is it's instant atmospheric sound beds. So it's really very cool. Anything new here? Well, it's a stomp box again, but we've had a look at that. And then here there's also a sound source which you can I'll play it again in the background, which you can hear coming in and out of this particular patch. There's a load of new kalimba sound sources, which is really quite interesting, and as well as there being quite heavily round-robined actual kalimbas and umbiras that are just instantly playable, there's also really cool sort of sound effect based ones like this reverse rattle coin. So obviously playing notes on the kalimba whilst there's loads of coins on top, and then reversing that sample, which is really quite a fun idea. So yeah, if you like kalimbas, you really are going to love some of the new sound sources in Omnisphere 2 because there's loads of them. Okay, so bass lines. You know me, I like a bass line, so we're back with the bass lines. And again here what we've got is a combination of one of the analog waveforms, so it's deep, a solid German. I don't know what that's referring to, what particular German it might be. And then also there's a whole host of new modular synth sound sources in Omnisphere 2, which are really cool as well. This one is probably one of the more simplistic ones, so this is it on its own. So it's a nice deep bassy sound next to this one. So they're quite similar, but together they just make a nice punchy sound. And what's the mod we'll do on this one? Nice things. And yeah, so there's a load of eclectic modular stuff as well as basic synth stuff. Anything here? No, okay. Right, what else have we got? Oh, this is a fun one. I do like this one actually. It's my Game of Thrones sound. So this is made, you probably remember the bowed acoustic guitar from the original ones here, but here's another Xperia bass sound. There's a ton of Diego Stocco stuff in my factory patches. Loads and loads of it. And oh yeah, this is something that's new here. So we have creative section on here, and we've got quad resonators. So that's obviously it kind of works in the sort of pitch shifting kind of resonant string kind of vibe. So you can control the levels of each of the 4 resonators, and you obviously control the pitch. So it can be quite subtle effect. It just brings a bit more sort of tonal life to some of the patches. Let's turn them off and see how noticeable it is. Probably not very noticeable. Well, you can certainly feel there's depth and presence missing, which is great. And yeah, so it's a nicer way of adding some sort of extra frequencies to sounds without using the harmonic section. Although I have done that anyway, but that's more on the mod wheel. But obviously there's more stuff on the mod wheel than that as well. So this is quite an interesting one. So so this is again a phrase. This is a Scandinavian phrase. Those of you who know me know I like Scandinavian things a lot. And again, this is granular synthesis, so running phrases through granular synthesis is really cool. And on this occasion I have controlled the position with LFOs, and they're done at different speeds, just to different oscillation rates, to move things around. And so we've got, and this one I've reversed. So I've got the same patch playing against itself, but one played forward and one reversed. So if we just, so this is the forward one. So there's the fun stuff that the granular synthesis is doing to this. And then here's the reversed version. Which adds extra otherworldly spookiness. So have lots of fun experimenting with the phrases and granularity, but do check out what happens when you reverse things as well. This is probably my favourite patch that I've done for the factory patches. This again is using brand new sound source. This cheeky thing's going off screen again, so I can't see where it is, just to wind me up. So this is 2 sort of plucked phrases. One's an African harp, one's a acoustic guitar, and together with throwing some effects in there, they're rather a lovely washy but plicked. That's not a word. Picked and plucked. Actually, yeah, I'll say plicked because it's quicker than saying picked and plucked. So yeah, I've invented a word there. Plicked. Please use it at will. Okay, so what else do we have? Gritty mid-frequency distorted bassline. So this helps us with... Let me listen to that one. Right, I think this is going to be quite a useful one. So, using 2 of the new synth sound waves again, and what do we have here? So we've got the precision comp, which is quite fun. We haven't got any different effects on there. Oh, we have. We've got an amplifier here, so there's lots of new amps to run things through, which are quite cool. One of my absolute favourites is the thrift shop speaker. We'll come back to that in a second. But what this really shows off is part of the new ARP. So it's pretty similar to what we had before, but one of the big differences here is that you can now tune the notes. So we've got this one going up a 7th and this one going up a 3rd, which makes it much more flexible and is perfect addition really to the arpeggiator. So I'm really pleased that they put that in. Okay, so let's just go into this amp section and let me just show you the thrift shop speaker, which is really quite cool. So basically it's just lo-fi distortion. So you've got all these different stomp boxes. And you change the tone and the level of input, etc. Let's take it off mono. And then here you've got all these devices. So like you've got car radio. So these are all sort of convolution reverbs based on these weird things. Fisher-Price turntable. I think these are convolution reverbs. So Walkman phones obviously nice and tinny. Megaphones would be nice and loud. Strange lo-fi way. And then spaces. We've got Princess Bedroom. Anybody got any idea what that might be? I have no idea what that is. Fascinating. Dawn Attack. Ominous deep blend of stuff. Okay. Stop drifting off screen. I want to keep an eye on you. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Why does it keep doing that? Normally it would just follow. Very rude. Yeah, so that's a nice ominous bowed thing. Again, Bach cello. This is another Diego Stocco sound source that's in there. So I've blended it with some synth strings to give it a bit more of an edge. It's kind of analog Blade Runner kind of thing. Right, what else should we play? Diabolique Edge, I think. Excuse me. So this is a nice pounding, sort of organic bass feel. So you've got the Bach cello staccato, and I think it's blended with the Xperia bass. Yeah, Xperia bass staccato. So these are two Diego Stocco sounds, which are deeply charming. Oh, there was the threshold speaker. We were nearly there anyway. If I just had some patience. So we're using the ARP. Excuse me, my throat's gone a bit scratchy. Yeah, so that's quite cool. What's the module doing this one? Oh, it's actually quieter rather than louder, which is what I often end up doing. So there you go. Lovely, lovely new sound sources. Lots and lots of fun to be had. Right, dynamic low percussion. So we do have some new percussion sound sources in here, which is great. Deep orchestral percussion hit. So there's lots that can be done with that. Got quite sort of timpani-esque vibes. And then drop kick bass tom 2, so nice punchy rock kit stuff as well. Ah, Inner Space. Okay, here's an interesting one. Actually, this probably isn't not the best patch to look at now. We'll come to that later. I know I've used it elsewhere. We'll come to it. I promise. Firenze. This is a fun one. You may wish to consider running for your lives. Lots of hammering going outside. That's not part of this sound. I haven't started playing it yet. Stop hammering! I mean, I'd run if I heard that sound coming towards me. Without question. Okay, let's see what else we've got playing here. Nice little art, this one. So this is a good example of some new sound sources. There are circuit bent sort of Texas Instruments things and Furbies and whatever this is. This is some variation of speaking spells. It's speaking math, maybe? I don't know. I've got that going with the Holy Guitar, which is quite a fun sound, I think. What have we got here then? Ooh, nice big sound. So there's some new impact sounds, like some really cool stuff. Like there's some really nice brassy ones which are quite fun. That's a kind of variation on it. And some foot stomps, which is always entertaining. Jet streams. So there's still some. That's an old school bit of virus one there from Omni one. Actually, this might be both Omni one. If I maybe use some So, here we go, Inner Space. Perfect, perfect. So Inner Space is a sort of crazy convolution reverb kind of thing that allows you to process the sounds through all sorts of weird spaces. I mean, so you've got scatter, textural, space, transient, resonance. But look how many there are. I mean, you just go, okay, well let's just go for leaves 3, and then you run it through a second one. You're looking at space, and you're pitched, and you go for oracular, even though you have no idea what it is. And what does it do to the sound? Okay, in this case, not as much as we might have imagined, but oh, I knew that would happen. How bloody obvious was it that something weird would happen? There we go. So it has some interesting effects, and there's an EQ section for charming it even more. But yes, there's lots of crazy stuff you can do with that. Really nice atmospheric things. I've picked a sound there that hasn't really sort of helped very much, but trust me on that one. It's very cool. It's actually particularly good for sort of plucky noises as well. So yeah, shorter notes given a bit of energy through the convolutions reverb. So I can't remember what I originally called this patch. Eric's gone through and renamed some of the patches that I've done for the factory sounds, and he's obviously unimpressed with some of the patch names that I came up with. Oh well, never mind. He's the expert. I bow down to his expert knowledge, and he's decided to. This one's fairly Resonator-esque, I guess. So let's have a little bit of a play. Well, it's got kind of organic synthy feel to it. So again, there's one of the nice modular synth patches, and it's blended with. Now the SK1, was that the sampling Casio keyboard? Well, certainly it's massively circuit bent again, whatever they've done with it. So that's quite fun. It's more than quite fun, it is a lot of fun. London, oh yes, this is quite interesting. Did we use anything different here? No. Oh yeah, okay. So there's actually increased modulation section of the effects. So there's now 3 choruses, 4 phases, 3 flanges, and a vibrato and a tremolo. So there's lots to play with there. The analog chorus is lovely, really, really very nice. And I've used the retro flanger here, which is a bit of fun. So they're really worth experimenting with. There's lots of fun there. That's another one that Eric's renamed. I can't remember what I called that originally. No faith in me, that man. So this is a funny little combination of that's an old sound source, isn't it? And then combined with the new one. So combining the old with the new to create something super, maybe. Okay, what else have we got? Nautilus Caves. Let's play a soundscape for you, shall we? So we're using the Granular Engine on some phrases again here. We've got a slit drum phrase and a guzheng phrase. So blending a bit of wooden percussion with some plucked strings. And once the Granular Engine's running through them, then, well, quite frankly, anything can happen. Postmodern duophone. That's another one that's been renamed. Oh yes, I do like this one. Continental waveform there and a Juno 60. So there's some really classic stuff in there, which is so much fun to play with. What's Rampart? A little bit of bassiness. So there we go, the modular synth blended with a synth waveform for a bit of fun. Sensory overblow. Another bass line. I do like my bass lines. I'm sure you're expecting them. So this is what it uses, the ARP. So it's a bass line, but I played it over across 3 octaves on the arpeggiator to get quite a bit of movement in there. And there's a little bit of note tuning as well. Those synth waveforms. There's so much to play with those synth waveforms. I mean, to think you just used to have those 5, and they were really good fun. I mean, I used them loads, but blimey, governor, so much. What do we have here? Push the mod wheel. That's quite a cool one. Okay, getting towards the end. The last battle. Oh, this is quite fun. Some extraordinary sounds. So again, we've got one of Diego's amazing sound sources, the bark cello. Oh, and 2 of them, in fact. And combined, they kind of sound a bit like a church organ that's bowed. Oh, sorry, cut that off rather, rather brutally there. I do apologise. And there we've got frequent. So this is a good combination of 2 totally different types of new sound source. We've got the circuit bent toy and the fiddled with ethnic kalimba, played with a spoon. Played with a spoon. Well, why wouldn't you? I'll just note that there's now auxiliary effect sends, so you can put your effects into here, and then obviously you can send them to either A, B, or both at the same time with the common tab. Wistful oscillations. That sounds rather nice, doesn't it? A synth made out of an Altoids tin. Don't even begin to ask me how that is done. Excuse me, just gonna have a sip of water. Yes, I have no idea how they do that, but they do, and that's all you need to know. So that's a bit of a walkthrough of the cinematic, filmic sort of media composer type of stuff that I've done. I think there's about 50 factory sounds that I've done in that sort of genre. But what I also ended up doing, much to my own surprise, is some dance and electronica sounds. Now, one of the new things in Omnisphere 2 is that there's a focus on EDM sounds. There's the EDM Spotlight section. And I was playing through some of those when I was doing the beta testing, and I'm an old trance head. I used to love trance music from back in the early 90s through to up until about 2005, 2006 when I started thinking it was going to hell. Or got a bit poppy, and so I'm not quite so much a fan of the more modern, thrashy, aggressive, sort of mid-range EDM sort of sound. So I decided to make a few more old-school trance sounds, things that are with a bit more softness to them. A big fan of like Above and Beyond, if you know their work. Hang on, let's up the BPM to something slightly more appropriate, shall we, for these dark sounds. There you go, that's more like it. So there's a bit of aggression in there if you want, and of course the ARP section now with its tuning is great for just bumping things up an octave when you need to. Bigger than you, what's that? Oh, the voltage. Oh, yes, that's a bit loud. Yep, so that's quite fun. Compression of energy. Oh yeah, I like this one. This is sort of little pulsing panning effect. Gargantua, probably a bass, is it? Yeah. Wobble bass. Oh, this is actually from the filmic section rather than the EDM section, but it works for both of them. That's another little phased. Oh yes, and there's house piano for those who like sort of lo-fi piano stuff. So as well as being sort of... Actually this one, the brighter version is probably a bit more... Actually it's got... more of a sort of Sigur Rós kind of vibe than perhaps... the being particularly EDM, and then the darker version's probably a bit more dancing. Hands in the air. Well, that takes me back to the late 80s. Oh, what else? IQ. So pulsing, compressed pad sound. Okay, so this is very sort of trancey. This is a hold one note down and just play. This uses the ARP quite well, tuning lots of notes to play different. And you won't be surprised to find there's a JP8000 Super Saw in there, I'm sure. What have we got over here? Fun, and then another bit of a sort of side-chained pad. Ooh, I wonder what that is. Oh no! Oh yeah, this. Yeah, I do like this one actually. So it's an offbeat bass, which is in itself kind of groovy, kind of nice. It's got nice delays in there to add a bit of rhythm. And then you bring in this sort of fifth bass as well. Which is quite enjoyable. Outrunner, another bass line. So the bass lines, they're not that aggressive, they're kind of sort of a little bit more mid-rangey, which is what I'm used to from the kind of trance that I like, rather than being too in your face and aggressive. SodaStream bells. Oh, this, I guess, works for... But that's not actually one of my EDM patches, is it? No. Stage Rusher. Baseline. This is quite a nice sort of chord stab. The odd wheels are quite cool on this one. And this is probably my favourite patch that I've done in an EDM style. See what you think of this one. So we're pushing the audio. So I'm going to be really, really disappointed if I don't hear some dance tune in the next 6 months that's written around that. I would be very disappointed. I do hope it will happen. It would amuse me immensely. So we've got a nice dance chord sequence here. Oh no, play it on one note. So a lot of these are designed to have cool stuff going on in the mod wheel. And again, these are often using the synth sound sources. So here we have just two versions of the 106 saw, which I've barely done anything to. Just obviously got this one's controlling the harmonics that come in with the mod wheel, so they're all flat there and come in. The mod wheel's turned up. Don't go. And some of the sounds actually have something programmed into the ARP that's not immediately noticeable. Because yes, and Zoo Epica. Let's finish on a Z, shall we? And there we go. And yes, so I've done EDM patches. Who'd have thought it, eh? Who would have thought that would happen to me? Little me. So yes, that's Omnisphere 2. That's a fairly brief sort of look at it, but I just wanted to show you the patches that I've done for it that you'll be able to play when you finally download your copy of Omnisphere 2. And also just show you a few of the things that are fun in there, the things that I like the most, highlight some of the sound sources and the new stuff. And there's so much I didn't even mention. So I didn't even mention the fact that you can import your own sounds, and there's cool things like Sound Match, where you can look for similar sound sources to the ones you want to, that maybe you've already programmed, and Sound Lock, which is really cool, allowing you to, you know, lock a bunch of parameters whilst you're changing through different things, so you can keep the bits you want whilst experimenting. It's really cool. Didn't use the orb. And yes, yeah, the patch browser is really cool, so you can sort of change all these things, so you can hook up to many different sounds and look through things in your own way. And yes, so what else do I want to communicate? Oh yeah, so I will be doing some fresh sound sets for Omnisphere 2 during the course of this year. Moving away from the Horizon series, that's done now. I'm going to focus on collections of sounds that have either a similar theme or similar source, that kind of thing, so honing down into slightly more specific roles rather than sort of the generic cinematic stuff that maybe I've done before. The other thing that's worth mentioning about my patches is that all the existing patches that you already have from me do work in Omnisphere 2 without any trouble at all. There's no problem, because if you open an old project, then Omnisphere 2 opens rather than Omnisphere 1, so it's all immediately working, which is great. The only thing that's changed is that the new tagging system, which obviously has a lot more categories and a lot more sort of extra things to draw down on to look up sound sources and patches. I need to go through all my patches and fix them so that they work with the new tagging system. That's going to take me a while to do because I've got comfortably over 1,000 patches to go through. If anyone wants to volunteer to do it for me, please do. and also then I'll have to be sending out updates, and whilst that's not in itself too complicated, I have got 2 different e-commerce sites to work with because I changed at the beginning of the year, and also I'm going to have to look at when people bought their Omnisphere bundles so that they're getting sent out for the sound sets that they've got and not the ones that they haven't got. So it's going to be a little bit complicated, and so I apologise if it takes a little while, but I will send out a newsletter to let you all know when it's happening, and I'll probably do a little bit of a walkthrough video to go through the tagging stuff as well, just so it makes a bit more sense. So I hope you all really enjoy Omnisphere 2. I can't imagine how you wouldn't, because it's amazing. Huge thanks to Eric and the team at Spectrasonics for A, inviting me to be a part of it, and B, making such an amazing tool for the studio. I was really touched when they invited me. It meant a lot to me, and yeah, so that was really cool. I can't express it in any other way. It was amazing. So yeah, enjoy it. Spend lots of time with it. There's loads of stuff in there, and hopefully you've enjoyed this walkthrough video, even though it's a bit vague and brief. And I hope you've enjoyed the sounds that you've heard as well, and that you'll enjoy using them in your tracks. So thanks once again, and I shall speak to you again on the next video, whatever that may be. Ta-ra!